Guys, today's week 4, day 4. We're going to continue with React. First, let's talk about what we've done this week. What have we done this week, guys? What is React? What are we talking about? What are the highest level concepts? What have you guys been typing?
React has a state, and when the state changes, the component changes.
Exactly. State affects the world. That's why they call it something so abstract. It's state. It affects the world. State changes. When one piece of state changes, other pieces of state change. Other things that we've talked about are components. Components are ways to split our programs up into smaller pieces that are easy to think about, right? Remember when we created the choice card for paper, rock, scissors? The choice card, what was its responsibility? To simply render an image or a title based on the state of either the computer's choice or the player's choice. Both components behave exactly the same. The only difference was their input. What we put into them was a different piece of state. One component of the choice card for our rock, paper, scissors game was the player's input. The other one was the computer's input. And we pass these inputs using props. A higher level way of thinking of it is props never change, okay? Props never change. State changes, and then because state changes, the property that is passed to a component changes. Thus, we get an entirely new component. The old component is thrown away, and we render a new one. So, concept 3 is state. They're all super important. I think state might be one of the most important. JSX as well, guys. JSX is like HTML. It has attributes, it has values. Attributes just happen to be props, okay? There are many of them. There's class name, on click, style. There's an infinite number of them. When you guys start reading the documentation, you're gonna see so many other ones. Okay, today we're gonna look at our assignment. Our assignment is gonna be to build a clone of IMDB. At the end of the day, coding is the best way to learn how to become a better developer. There is no other solution. So we're gonna show you guys how to get the basic layout, you know, like as I always do. But at the end of the day, we need to have something that is presentable. Okay, the layout needs to be okay. You don't waste screen space. There are common sense decisions made. We make decisions. We make decisions for our team. Okay, I've been thinking about this one a lot. Your job is to make decisions for your CEO or your designer so they don't have to. That is how you're gonna be a better developer. And the more we can do that, we can just make decisions based off of UIs that we've seen in the past and common design patterns that we know, then the more likely we are to get hired and paid a lot. Common feature, sidebar for navigation. Common feature, a navigation bar with the search bar. Common features. Obviously, if this resizes, it should, adjust, right? This one isn't perfect. I built this one night, okay? This isn't perfect. And I want you guys to guess, where are these images coming from? Exactly. I didn't download and save this on my computer, and I don't expect to send this data to the user for them to download. And
Would the nav bar, the sidebar, the cards, the whole thing, those are all different components?
Correct.
Inside of the card, are there even smaller components?
So for this one, actually, you don't need to make them even smaller than that, right? This one you don't need. It isn't even that complicated. But eventually you will have that, right? Eventually. So right now, I want you guys to just use the card for the library, React Bootstrap. That's sufficient, right? But inside these components, you guys are gonna perform, some additional logic, right? So how can a movie identify what category it's in, for example? That's gonna be a challenge you guys have, right? So there's APIs for this. I'll tell you right now, the solution is this. You just look at the API, right? Read the documentation, test it with Postman, get some data out of it. And then we're going to compare these to perform some JavaScript logic, which is going to render, right? And obviously, there's going to be more advanced features. You guys can click it and watch the movie, for example, right? Watch a preview. All of this data that's provided here is not hard coded. It comes from an API. I suggest you guys look at it. And also one thing, I was looking at the lab last night too. This is pretty much what you guys are gonna get in the future. I hope you guys are prepared for this, man. You guys aren't gonna get instructions on how to build your apps. Your boss is gonna walk around the room and give you a list of things he wants. And he's gonna walk away and tell you guys that you have an hour or two or something like that. I don't know, obviously an hour or two is very quick, but he's gonna come back a couple days later and say, all right, what do you got? So here we go. Let's go ahead and look at this. Or maybe not right now. So, okay, that's the right channel. So, okay, so does anyone understand, like, so let me walk through it really slowly. My bad, I forgot. When the application loads, if you guys look at your network tab, let's look at our network tab. There it goes. So now we see what? What are these guys? These are API requests. Some of them are getting images, some of them are getting data, some of them are getting bundles. Bundles are what React does. It bundles all your files into one file so it's quick to download, okay? And one of these API requests, we got some data about movies, right? So if I click it, we can even look at the preview. What's this one giving me? What's this look like? An array of objects. A request to this API right here. You can see the URL right here, okay? And just look at its structure. We need to know what this means. It's a 200 error. We should know what that means. Here's another API that we called, okay? And what was the response from this API? A list of movies. And they have additional data on these objects, right? It's an array that has a ton of objects. These objects can tell you certain things about itself, like its title, its popularity, a path to its poster, a release date, etc. We need to be able to look through it and just read it and understand what this means, okay? So in terms of, that's the data. Additionally, we can filter. Remember how I told you guys filtering is important? Imagine if you only wanted to see the action movies. I can click a button and just see all the action movies filtered out, right? So we have 3 here, and the button for action said 3. Does that seem to correspond? I think so. Is Dark Knight an action movie? Well, according to this badge, Batman is in fact an action movie. What if we click history? This trend persists. We don't see any movies that have a badge that says action. And we do in fact see 1 movie on the tab and 1 movie in our results, okay? Additionally, we can search. I click in dark, I type in dark, I search, I find it, okay? And lastly, we can click get more. And what's this do? This goes to an API and gets additional data. So, do you have any questions so far? All right, so let's get going. Why can't I close this? What the fuck? All right. So I went ahead and ran npm start, or my bad. I ran npx create react app. You guys can see it right up here. What's this doing, guys? It's just using a tool on our computer to collect all the files that we need to run this project. Very simple. npx create react app r-movies. This is my path. This is where I'm at right here. Okay? Where am I? I'm in my folder where I like to keep all my work for this class. Obviously, I have other folders where I keep other projects, okay? But this is all my El Captain projects. So, what do the instructions say? I can run yarn start, or I can run npm start. Now I'm gonna open up my code editor and just look at the files. What do you guys expect to see here, guys? Shouldn't we see like this thing that always comes out? This is the default project, right? Okay, so let's make sure that everything runs well. What file are we always gonna be touching first? Yes. So I'm gonna put in H1, and I'm gonna say IMDB clone. I save it, refresh. We do in fact see that we are affecting the right files. Okay, we're taking it 1 step at a time, just making sure we don't fuck anything up. Okay? All right, so the next step is to install React Bootstrap. So I'm going to Google, look at the documentation. I can click get started, and I can see that we need to run additional command. I probably should have done this before. So I'm going to stop my server, install it, move on. So the next step is ignore these scripts, take the style sheets. I've ran into this bug for you. I'm advising you to ignore the scripts, take the style sheets from the CDN. So now I jump over to index.html and I paste it to the head, okay? This is just basically saying, hey, internet, whenever you come here, go ahead and grab this file that's publicly available, okay? And grab it from somewhere that's closer to your computer. So I don't want to get this file right here served from me by a server in the US. I want to get it from the closest server that has it, which might be in Singapore or something. That's all you got to understand a CDN is, okay? It's just a server, a collection of servers on the internet whose job it is to give you common files. Okay, so it's running. I should have ran this already. Okay, so I don't want to read documentation for you guys, so I'm just going to show you. Let me show you. So I can tell you right now, I'll go ahead and show you the code of the complete project. This project was built using what? It was built using the knowledge of functions that we've done over the last 2 weeks. It was built using a couple of components inside of a special folder called components. And all these functions, what do they do, guys? All they do is pass data back and forth. Okay? It's a series of functions and we manipulate our data. We massage it, okay? Sometimes our data comes in a format that is unreadable for the human being. And then we use this free library called Moment and we parse it. We turn it into something else, okay? Some functions have the responsibility of simply just calling other functions. And we do this because we want to isolate our code and make it more easy to think about. We have a component here, for example, movie card. We simply pass it a couple properties, right? We pass it a couple properties, and these properties allow it to determine how it will behave, for example. Okay, let's go ahead and run our npm start. My bad. Get movies. What I call it? I forgot. Get movies. Here it is. This is an API. Pretend you have someone who's helping you. They told you what the API is. Okay? Pretend that this is what you go into a company and someone tells you what the API is. They gave you a link to it even. Your next job is to save it. Save it on your computer so you don't have to ask them again. Because if you ask them a second time, you're wasting a lot of time. Okay? So you save it, you click send on Postman, and then now you see the structure of the API. What does this look like, guys? This is a parameter that we send to the API. It happens to be by the name API key. This is one of many other parameters that we can send to an API. One of many. I click send. I can see that I got a 200 response back. Okay? I got a 200 response back. And what does this look like? This is the data. Our team lead told us exactly where to go. There you go. So now I've proven to you guys that this data works. So we're gonna jump back to our code editor for the new project. And how are we gonna start, guys? You can start any way, okay? So I want you guys to think about this. Programming is a creative job. You guys can start however you want, right? I personally like thinking of data first, okay? So I'm just gonna delete everything here, use the tool, the snippets, and run RCC, okay? Now, why did I do that, guys? I want to create a stateful component. One day in the very near future, you guys are going to learn. Well, right now you guys have already started learning. We should try to use functional components. And right now, I'm sure many of you don't understand what the difference is, but just know that there are different types of components, and functional components do not have state, but class components do. And we need a class component because our application state is going to change over time. When the app loads, we don't have data. We make an API request, we get that data back, we update the state of our application, right? Is that how the flow goes? So I'm going to delete everything. I'm going to go ahead and import our styles again. What is it? App.css. Okay. I'm just going to prove that this works. Do h1 and say IMDB clone. Okay. And just to make sure that the CSS works, let's go ahead and change our body. Okay. Let's do it to background color red. Now if I save it and I refresh, I think we have a problem. Save.
You said
Save.
functional components don't have state and class components do?
Correct. Did I import this wrong, guys? Okay, there we go. With CSS, you do have to include the style extension. So since we deleted everything in our app, let's just go ahead and delete all that, and we can write the styles ourselves, okay? So what's the next thing we need to do? I said that I personally like getting my data first, so I'm going to define a function called component.did.mount, and what's this going to do? It's going to get data. But are we going to write all our code to get the data in here?
Yes.
No, because what if we want to get more data later? Inside of our component.did.mount, we're just going to call a function, getMovies, okay? And now we're going to define this function, getMovies. Okay? So how can we make a request to an API, guys?
You have to have a constant API user.
So you guys are going to sign up for one? I already have it. What do I need to type here to get some data? Let's pretend I have the API key.
Constant response is equal to await fetch URL.
Const response is equal to await fetch my URL. Okay? Very simple. Will this work?
Yes.
Not yet.
Not yet. What's wrong with it?
You need to convert it.
We need to make this an asynchronous function. Okay? So now we do, what is response? What's inside of here? Is it what we want?
Not yet.
Not yet. Exactly. Not yet. We need to do more. Here's our response. We don't need all this. We need one thing inside of this. We need the JSON data that's inside of it. So we're going to await, and then we're going to parse it. Now I expect if I console log JSON data, I'm going to see an object that I can work with. And what do we see here? An object we can work with. That's exactly what we see. An object we can work with. Okay? So I want you guys to think right now, look at this URL. Your tech lead gave you a URL. You guys know what a URL looks like. It has a question mark somewhere in there. It has some keys. It has some values. You guys can read English. You see one of these keys is called page, right? So what if I wanted to have a page 2? What would I need to do here? Can I delete? Can I just change this right here?
No. So you put it in a variable, change it.
Yes, we need to somehow get this one character to change. I'm telling you that right now. That's exactly what we need to do, get that one character to change. Okay? So we go ahead and we get this.
Real quick, zooming out. So this is all inside that export default class app extends component. That's the functional component that doesn't have state.
This is no. So when you first build this project, this is a functional component. This is in fact a functional component. So I just deleted it and made it a class.
Side of it.
Say again.
So then we put state like
Yes,
inside of it.
we're adding the state functionality to this component.
No, stay inside.
State is
We haven't had state yet.
So watch this, okay? So I have function, red box is what? It's just a function, right? And a function is what? A component. So we're gonna return right here, come on. I'm gonna say div, say style is height 100, width 100, background, color is red, okay? We define a function. This function is in fact a component. Let's just go ahead and draw it. Let's draw it on the screen. Oh man, I chose the wrong color. Blue. You have a problem, Houston. Style. Blue. Red box. Why do we not have a blue box, guys? Someone help me out. Why do I not have a blue box? What?
There's a red box.
Or a red box, but I changed it to blue. Let's just say box. Okay, box. Come on, give me a box. Okay, there it is. I don't know what happened. I just changed the name of the component. I have no idea why that worked.
Can you put some empty state in the component?
That's what I'm about to show you right now, okay? So let me show you what the difference between a functional component and a class-based component is. Look at my render method. By console.log, I say app component, for example. And then I do this.state. What am I gonna see, guys? I think I should see a null object. I don't know. Null. There we go. We see null. Okay? But what's going to happen if we do this inside of our box component? It's going to complain. It's going to say there's no such thing as this inside of a functional component. Whoops. There's no such thing as this inside of a functional component right here, right where I expected it, because a functional component has no such thing as this. Okay, some people call it a dummy component. It's a stupid component. It does not understand this. It does not understand state. Okay, it has no it has no sense of awareness about itself. So it complains, right? So we go ahead and delete it. We save it, and does it complain? No, the function can still render. Just know that a functional component does not have access to state. And that's not 100% true. I just realized if you guys use something called hooks later on, it can, okay? But right now, you don't even need to worry about that. There's so many edge cases, okay? So let's get back on track. We got some data, okay? We got some data. What are we gonna do with this data? Are we gonna stick this whole object, or do we need to know this whole object? What do we want? No, we want the results. We want the results. The results is what? It's a list of movies. It's an array, and this array has got a bunch of objects in it. And I guarantee you in just a few moments, we're going to be mapping over this array and then grabbing little keys off of each one of those objects and producing a UI. Okay, so now we're going to this.set state. And we're going to give it a what? Can I put a number in here? Can I put a function in here?
You have to have a key.
But what has a key?
The state needs to have a key and a value.
But what goes inside of this.set state?
Object.
An object. An object is denoted by simply curly braces. That's simple, okay? So now we're gonna give it movies. And the value is going to be
Result.
JSON data.results, okay? We simply grab one key off our JSON data, results. So now if we look at this.set state, I guarantee you line 26, when it runs on our console, the first time it's gonna say null, the second time it's going to give us an object that has a key of what? Movies. I can call this whatever I want, okay? Call it films, stuff, food, okay? Let's go ahead and save it, save it. Comma, 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 save it, refresh. How many keys am I gonna have, guys? Film, food, movies, stuff. What is the best name for this, guys? Movies. Very simple. These are movies. We should only have one key named movies. But there is actually one edge case, a trick I'm gonna show you in just a moment, okay? That where we are gonna have some reproduced data.
Should I put an empty state above so that I won't be confused?
You will, but I'm trying to take it one step at a time. I could have thrown all this on the screen, you know? I could have thrown all this on the screen. Typically, you will want to do that. You will want to have a state up here so that when you open up this component and you look at it, you will know what keys it has, what state it has. Right? I need to know that. So this is almost like an indicator. It's saying, hey, this is what you expect. It's like a sign. You know, it's telling you what keys to expect. But right now, we don't even need that. Actually, we do need that now. This is the next step. So you thought about the next step. Because this is a movie app, right? We want to show the movies, right? We solved the first problem. We got the data, okay? Now what is the next step? Is this app complete? I got the data.
Yes, put it on the screen.
Exactly, I just got to draw on the screen. So we're going to go over to our React Bootstrap. We're going to look at our components. And then we're going to look for a card. Here we go. Here's a card. I'm going to copy the whole thing. I'm going to make sure this works. Okay? Let's just make sure it works. Paste it in there. I don't even care. It's already telling me I got a problem. What's the problem now, guys?
You haven't installed Bootstrap yet?
We installed it, but we did not import the components into this component for use. A big concept in React, or no, in JavaScript now, is that we want to silo off all our code. We don't want our code to clash. Do you know what these are, guys? You know what these things hold? These are silos. In English, we call them silos. They will hold, some of them will hold wheat, some will hold corn, some will hold potatoes. The purpose of importing and exporting is that we want to silo off our code. We do not want our code to clash, right? Our variables to clash with each other. So the technical term here is called siloing. So that's why, even though this is defined, every single file that we use this stuff, or components from a library, we need to import it. Okay, so let's go ahead and import card, and that's all we need. We save it. We jump back over here, and we now do not have a button. Okay, so we save it. Okay, so we got a card. Dope. We have one card, but we have many movies. What is the next step, guys? So I'm going to show you a pro tip, like what I would do. Remember what I told you guys. Whenever you call an API that has a bunch of things, right? Console log one of them, okay? And then give yourself a helpful message. Single, movie, blah, whatever, right? I save it, and now I can see. Wait. My bad. What's the problem here, guys? What's the problem on line 25?
Result 0.
Yes. JSON object is JSON data is an object. I don't need the whole object. I need to look at the single value of the key result. Inside of that is an array in which I can look at the first element. So I save it, refresh, bam, we got one element right here. So now, if I were you, I would copy this, store as a global variable, and then you just do copy, which is a function. Do you see that this little thing right here? It says function. See that little F? So we can call it. And we just give it temp1. When you store it as a copy, so and the objective of this right here is simply to get a copy that we can paste. Bam, I can paste it now. I just copied that variable. That's all we did right there, okay? So, does this look like valid JavaScript, guys? What's wrong with this? Exactly. This is not JavaScript. This is JSON. So what do we need to do with it? We need to parse it. So the simplest solution to this is to create a new file. We'll call this movie.json. Let me just paste it in there. So I'm going to move movie.json over to the folder so I can make importing it easier. I'm going to delete what we have in here. Oop, my bad, that's the file. Okay, save. Now, if we look at the file, we have a file over here called movie.json. I can import it. We'll just say const movie equals require movie.json. Okay? If I console.log of this, what are we going to see, guys? Can we work with it yet? Where is that? Movie. It works. Let's just test this. Movie. Oh, my bad. It does work. We can, in fact, look at all the keys. JavaScript is smart enough to know it parses it for us if we do import a file directly. Okay, so that's the difference when then you call an API. Even though it's structured the same, you actually have to parse it. I don't know why it's smart sometimes, it's stupid in other times. Okay, so now my suggestion is what? Let's make this UI beautiful for this one card. Okay, so now we're gonna do what? We're gonna take the movie and we're just gonna stick some values in where we need it. Okay, I'm gonna run our format so I can get some styling here. Okay, so what goes inside of here? Movie.title, right? I think it's title. I forgot. Oh, it is in fact title. The title here changed, right?
Yes.
Right? So movie.title, and then we have a movie.overview. Movie.overview, and then we have what? This is a simple card. Let's go ahead and look at a more complicated card. Oh, we need one of these things right here, a list group. So copy this part of it in here. I'll paste it to the bottom of the card. Let's see what it looks like. We got a complaint. We'll pop up over here and import this component for use. And we'll look at it. Oh, there we go. We got a list group at the bottom. Wow. So what else can we do here? We got additional data we need to stick in here, guys. We want to provide a beautiful UI with lots of meaningful content, right? So maybe we can stick in, I don't know, just anything. Just the path right here is a relative path. You guys need to look at the documentation to do this. I forgot where it is. I gotta find it. So let's just do one card. Okay, fine. I'll just go ahead and give you an example. I forgot what it was. Okay, I'm gonna cheat because I don't want to look at this poster. Image. Okay, movie card. Poster. Code. Image. Okay, here's the path right here. This is it right here, okay? So, we're gonna do, where's the image? Right here? You see where it says source right here? Simply gonna replace this, and we're gonna stick in here. Whoops. Movie dot backdrop path. Oops. What's it called? Movie dot backdrop underscore path. Okay? And bam, we got a beautiful card. So who can help me draw a bunch of cards on the screen? Yeah, come on, help me. Where am I supposed to type here? Should I type in app.css? Is this the place? Should I type some JavaScript over here?
No, app.js.
Okay, so where in app.js should I go?
Where you want
So here is my suggestion for you guys, okay? I'm just going to copy all this out, okay? Right? And now we're gonna define a new function. This is how I want you guys to write. And if a function gives you JavaScript and draws something on the image, I want you to call every one of them render. Render. What are we rendering, guys?
Say that again?
If it is a function that gives you back JSX like this, I want you to call it render. And I'm gonna tell you why later. Okay? Render. Render movie card. Okay? Render movie card. Because later on, your cards might have smaller cards, okay? And inside of here, we're gonna return something. What do we return, guys?
Return the whole thing.
Okay, so we can do that. So we just call this one render movie cards, right? So now what do we need to do here? We need to look at what? Are we rendering to-dos? Are we rendering weather?
And you render the card that you just cut.
What are we going to render?
Movie card.
But what is a movie card composed of? It's a list of all the movies, okay? So we need to look at something, and what are we going to look at? Where are we gonna find this data that we need, guys?
Movies, results. It's an array, so you just look.
Am I gonna call the API again right here on line 33? What are we gonna look at? Where is it stored?
Result, this JSON data.
So you're saying that we should call this API? We should call this API again? No, we need to look at our state, guys. This dot state dot movies. Okay, we need to look at our state. We grab the data in our component in our get movies function. We set it to state, right? Now we need to look at that state. So here, this dot state dot movies dot map. And then we can perform a mapping function. We're gonna look at each one of our movies. Okay,
Is that, can you scroll up? Is that stored at the,
right here.
Yes, it's state array.
so even though we didn't put like state at the top. Oh, okay,
Yeah. So I think this would not have thrown an error. I'm pretty sure I can delete this. I'm gonna test it in just a second and then not throw an error. So now when we're in our render movie cards function, we're just going to map over all our movies and render what? Render what? What we just typed earlier. We just paste it over. Very simple. Okay? So I save it. Save it.
Okay, so we have two return. Can you explain the return again? Because
Okay, so one of these returns is returning, like, so for what comes back, what is this return? The return on line 34, right? If I return a div right here, hello world, where is it going to go? Where's this hello world going to go?
whenever you return the render movie card.
But if I return on line 34 hello world inside of a function called render movie cards, right? Where is hello world going to go? Exactly. So if I typed it in right here, I'm gonna see a hello world. Right? That is one return. That is the return from the function call of render movie cards, right? So what is this returning from? This is also a function call. Okay, remember what goes inside of map. That is a function. And we need to return from the inside function to the movie card, render movie cards, and then we return from render movie cards to the place that we call it. So, We're gonna go ahead and fix this. Okay, that looks good. Okay, and then what am I gonna do with the render movie cards now, guys? Yeah, we're just gonna call it right here. We're gonna call it. We save it, we call it, and we have a shit ton of movies. Okay, so that's I've been talking for 38 minutes. Let's start there. And once you guys get your data, draw it to the screen. Once you guys get done with that, we'll move on to the next step.